Hi guys, welcome back to Thursday Top Lessons. We've been to quite a few countries in the recent past, but always as a tourist. Recently, we got a chance to visit a country to understand its business model. So this week, we are going to talk about the Dubai model. They say never judge a book by its cover, except this one. The kind of extravagance shown in the print and the paper matches the content, and it is the core of Dubai. The Sheikh CEO is written by Dr. Yasser Jarrar, who worked directly with Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum in the executive office from 2001 to 2008 as director of strategy. Now, this book talks about the remarkable rise of Dubai and its key secret ingredient that transformed Dubai's success into a model, the Sheikh CEO. Now, here's something to give you a perspective on the Dubai story. Between 1995 and 2015, Dubai increased its GDP from a mere $11 billion to $101 billion, while raising the GDP per capita from $16,000 to $42,500. Also, it reduced its dependence from oil revenues from 18% to a mere 1.2%. That is diversification. The population of Dubai increased from 700,000 in 1995 to 2.75 million people in 2017. Its exports saw a rise of 645 percentage points, while gross fixed capital formation increased by 733%. So, here it goes. So, as per the author, Sheikh Mohammed is not a magician or a leading economic guru or a leading academic. He is just a great leader. He delivers on his promises, he is passionate about moving forward, and he is always one step ahead. He takes risks and believes in nurturing human capital and developing leaders around him. He knows how to fail fast and succeed quick. The core of his leadership lies in the belief of a free enterprise. Self confidence, fairness, risk taking, and a rapid decision making paradigm. It is based on the simple idea that a government must create an enabling economy in which private enterprise can flourish. Where in the world would you find the government fighting for free trade? The biggest example of this is the birth of Emirates Airlines. So, the Gulf Air requested Dubai to sort of protect their market share against open skies policy, or they threatened that they would decrease their service to Dubai. On this, the Sheikh said, "We believe that competition, not protectionism, is healthiest for our country." They simply rented two aeroplanes from Pakistan and created something called the Emirates Airlines. Even when the Emirates had grown, and the specialist advisors who sort of created the Emirates Airlines, they suggested the Sheikh to now drop the open skies policy to ensure Emirates can grow successfully and maintain its healthy balance sheet. The Sheikh simply refused. In 2017, Emirates Airlines had announced 26 years of consecutive profits. Now, it's easy to say that a government that owns the airport and owns the airline, almost the entire ecosystem, it is easy to announce profits. But no, this was audited by one of the big fours. The Sheikh details four tenets that he calls the Emirates' unwritten constitution: preservation of justice, balanced relationships with all, a firm belief in free trade, and a diversified economy. The three turnkey lessons that he learned from his father are: you always have more to learn, surround yourself with strong leaders, and stay out of politics. Now, wait, stay out of politics in the Arab world? Here's his take on the Arab world. He says, "We have a surplus of politicians in the Arab world and a shortage of managers. Our crisis is a managerial one, not one of resources. Leadership is a service, not a gateway to privilege." He outlines 8 principles for the UAE. Now, I clearly remember 3 of them written boldly on a municipality building when I used to take the metro. A. No one is above the law. B. We are a business capital. And C. Our society has a unique personality. Now, understanding your selective disadvantage will always play a critical role in building a nation's competitiveness. Here's a few examples. Take for Japan. Accepting that we are an island country with no natural resources led to the most spectacular industrial revolution. In case of Singapore, they accepted that we are a price taker and not a price maker, hence it kept it agile. In case of Dubai, as pearling died and oil also won't be there forever, they wanted to diversify. The only limits to what we can achieve are the limits of our imagination. Everybody starts small, even life begins as a single cell. Every business starts with one person with an idea. How fast you go and how far you get is in your hands. The bigger your vision will be, the bigger will be your achievement. Will you stumble along the way? Of course, yes, but we cannot let fear keep us small. If that would have been the case, Burj Khalifa in its original design would have been just 90 floors against the 163 that is currently what they have. It would still be tall, but not the tallest. During a KPI setting meeting for the UAE agenda, he would not accept numbers in the targets of top 20 or top 15 or anything similar. We aim for only number one. During the planning phase, the Sheikh listens to advice ranging from the CEOs to management consulting firms to people in his own government. More the inputs, the better, as it gives many lenses to study an issue. Once the opportunity is clear, execution starts from day one. A big opportunity is a short, accurate, and emotionally compelling description of an opportunity that will move an organization or a country forward in a substantial way. He says, start from where others have finished. Do not reinvent the wheel. Go and learn what others have done. Deconstruct it, adapt it to Dubai's context, and innovate to make it better, faster, taller, cheaper, and deliver it fast. Delivery is an endless cycle of ideation and implementation. He says, with each new day in Africa, a gazelle wakes up thinking he must outrun the fastest lion or perish. At the same time, a lion wakes up thinking he must outrun the fastest gazelle or starve. Whatever side you're on, you have to run faster than others to survive every day. Your work is never over. But then he is asked if the same would apply to governments. Are governments aging and past their validity as a model? He says yes. For him, government entrepreneurs are not an oxymoron anymore. For this, in 2004, he decided to set up the Dubai School of Government to ensure continual innovation in government modernization. Now, an example to quote the ideation and implementation all at once. The Dubai airport. He said, I do not want an airport for Dubai. I want to transform Dubai into an airport for the world. Opportunities are made. They do not just lie around waiting for someone to grab them. Your determination and energy will be proportionate to your goal. So an interesting story regarding Dubai airport is as follows. Just like all airports, the maximum waiting time was at the luggage belt. So one night at 11, he simply drove down to the Dubai airport, called up his close associates and asked them to be there in the next 30 minutes. On being there at the luggage belt, he simply asked a few passengers, how much time have you been waiting for? And the standard answer was 30 minutes, 40 minutes, about an hour. So he simply called the airport guys and told them, I want the TRAT, the turnaround time from landing of a flight to exit gate to be 25 minutes from the current 45 minutes approximately. So, and he gave them a timeline of 2 months. So the airport officials, they started working on short-term and long-term plans to ensure this is possible, but somehow they missed or thought the 2-month timeline was not a serious enough timeline. True to his words, right after 60 days, he went to the airport at the same time, asked the people the same question, and the answer was on the same lines just like before. He called the airport guys and asked them what happened. They showed him the plans that this is what we are planning to do. He said, okay with your long-term plans, I completely agree and align, but this time the TAT is serious. Take another 2 months, I want this time to be crashed to 25 minutes. And this time, what he did, he gave his 3 close associates the task to visit the airport thrice every day. He gave them an all access pass. So what they used to do was a person would stand at the landing gate and another person would be there at the luggage belt. As soon as the person landed, the person or the official at the landing gate would just simply, on the walkie-talkie tell the person that the guy with the red jacket just left, and they would start the stopwatch. As soon as the guy caught his luggage, they would end the stopwatch. This was done daily for the next 60 days for 3 times in a day, the busiest times. And all the daily reporting was done to the Sheikh directly. And true to his word, again after 60 days, he went there and voila, the time was 25 minutes flat. Now here's a lesson in scenario planning and foresight. He aimed to make Dubai the commercial capital of a region defined anywhere between a 7-hour flight from Dubai, which would primarily be Middle East, Africa, Southeast Asia, and the CIS group of former Soviet countries. Now, the 7-hour flight radius was not out of some scientific working. It simply stemmed from ambition. He simply looked at the world's financial and commercial capitals. To the west, it was London, Paris, and Berlin. To the east, it was Hong Kong, Shanghai, and Singapore. In between, he found there was a vast region with billions of people, with huge wealth resources and an ancient civilization, but virtually no hub for commerce, business, or logistics. This is what he termed as the Dubai region and rebranded in 2018 as the Dubai Silk Road. Now here's something on vision and ambition. Do not be distracted by naysayers who are critical of ambition and future vision. He says, many suffer short-sightedness and can only see the world as it is today. Being able to imagine tomorrow's world is a critical leadership capability. And the Sheikh CEO has dedicated a whole ministry to this, the Ministry of Cabinet Affairs and the Future. There are winners because there is uncertainty. Dismantle barriers, and if it works, repeat it. So when faced with outdated labor laws and complex regulations, Dubai focused on setting up free zones. So Dubai did not invent it, but it pushed it to the max. There was 2 options if you have a huge regulatory complexity. Either you try and change the regulations, you work hard for it and it will take a long time, or you simply set up a new zone with virtually no restrictions. So instead of spending decades trying to improve the overall business environment and change the economy and labor laws, which were subject to federal law as well, Dubai set up a zone that had the best regulation for doing business right from day one. As Buckminster Fuller put it, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Another example of the free zone was the Dubai Internet City. He simply asked directly what the biggest technology companies in the world wanted or they wished to see Dubai would offer them, and got it done. He did not ask for studies, reports, or consultants. He went straight to the technology companies and designed Dubai's offerings according to their needs. If you want to attract business capital or talent, ask them what they want and design the offering accordingly. A great example of this is when Jack Dorsey was traveling around the world and had a layover in Dubai. His passport was stamped by not the normal immigration stamp but by a Twitter logo with the Dubai skyline in the background. And eventually Twitter opened its office in Dubai. A great message for all the lazy people out there. There is only now, tomorrow never comes. The Dubai Internet City was established and set up in 365 days, on plan and without public funds. It had to be operated like a private sector with a bank loan. The Dubai Marina was designed as only locals could own real estate, and construction was majorly controlled by the government, catering to limited supply. Dubai Marina opened a multi-billion-dollar construction industry as now people could own land parcels. They reduced the land parcels so that other people could also own it, but gave them just 2 years time to get the construction done. At one point in time, 75% of the world's total cranes, the heavy equipment moving cranes, were deployed in Dubai, and Dubai was known as the crane capital of the world. Everything has a risk, everything, but that should never stop anything. We can and should deploy good risk management frameworks for better outcomes, but never stop moving forward and innovating. An example of risk taking is when, in the early days, the British Overseas Airways declined to ferry passengers via Dubai to Mumbai. Sheikh Rashid pledged to pay for vacant seats but requested them to start flying. Now, he never had to pay for any vacant seats, but without that risk, there would be no flight. The budget of the Dubai Metro in the recent times was equal to the entire budget of Dubai for that year, but still they took that risk. When confronted with difficulty, a person has two options: to stop and admit defeat, or to innovate and triumph. An example of this is Dubai as a tourist hub. The Sheikh CEO wanted to convert Dubai as a tourism hub in order to diversify their economy. But the persistent question was, why would anyone come to a desert such as Dubai as a tourist? Now, Dubai has over 21 million tourists annually with 142,000 hotel rooms, with 75 to 96% room utilization compared to 114,000 rooms in India. Now, most governments have prepared many plans and reports with the aid of expensive consultants produced in very fancy designed and aspirational titles for a better future such as 2025, 2040, but most of them fail. Why? Most people believe that this failure is due to the content of those reports. No, it is a result of failed implementation. Now, deliverology is a term coined by the PM delivery unit under the Tony Blair regiment in Britain. It simply means a process in government and public administration all about reaching the desired status. Way before it was coined, it was a way of life in the Sheikh's executive office. We simply called it done. He says history is not concerned with the visions that are not implemented. Now, my friend who helped me around in Dubai told me that the Sheikh visits every site personally before a review on that site is conducted. Now, you can still find him driving alone in his car without any VIP treatment, just so that he knows if there are any showstoppers that can derail a project. Once the results start to show, scale fast or fail fast. He says, I think the leaders should have their feet firmly on ground, living with people, understanding what their issues are and what they go through, what makes them happy and what makes them sad. He says, action and management by walking around is what gets things done. Now let's talk about moats. During the 2008 financial crisis, Dubai's real estate faced a massive meltdown. However, other countries, financial institutions, and businesses considered Dubai's success and stability essential to them. When each stakeholder has a role to put you back on your feet, that is what a true moat is all about. Open your door and your mind. Remember the 1% rule. No matter how clever you are, how much research you have done, or how confident you are on your data, keep in mind that there is always that 1% chance that you might be wrong. Always listen with an open mind. Remember, the best ideas come from the foot soldiers and not the generals. As a leader, you need to create that environment. He says the GDP does not measure well-being. If a city is wrecked by a hurricane and then experiences a surge in construction activity, its GDP goes up. If people lead an unhealthy life and need a lot of medical care, its GDP goes up. Leisure, walk in the desert, meditation, this does not account for in GDP calculation. So he has a whole ministry of happiness and well-being dedicated to this. All the KPIs of the Dubai government are also not primarily numbers linked, but linked to customer satisfaction and happiness. Walter Lippmann once said that the ultimate test of a leader is that he leaves behind him in other men and women the conviction and will to carry on. At the end of the day, systems become outdated, buildings deteriorate, and machinery wears. But people are an asset that truly appreciates. Creating a second and a third line is key in any organization. Remember, whenever there is a crisis or an unexpected event and the system is under stress, hierarchies can be unresponsive, even dangerously dysfunctional, as the decision making bottlenecks form at the top. My home is where I can make a living. USA is leading because it is able to attract the best global talent. This is a classic example of the loss of talent that has affected many developing countries. Where great minds go today, great things will happen tomorrow. The making of great leaders is a secret granted only to those who have overcome their own ego and who understand that the greatest achievement is to build people, not edifices. Creating a talent pool that is institutionalized and not network based, that is true leadership. The Sheikh would always have many people competing to deliver the same project or study the same policy, private as well as government, because of the simple reason that competition is good. So an example of this is when Emaar Properties became a giant and with an estimated value of $20 billion, the Sheikh decided it needed some competition and launched two more companies, Nakheel and Dubai Properties, as a part of Dubai Holding, to hedge against the possibility of Emaar becoming a monopoly or even worse, becoming complacent. He always has three horses running in any important race. He also knows when to stop the race. This is what leads to what he calls co-opetition. Another key difference to note is the difference between beneficiaries and customers. Beneficiaries are not the same as customers. They are the recipient of services that the government can perform on their own terms. Beneficiaries should be grateful, not satisfied. Hence, the Dubai government sees all its citizens as customers and not beneficiaries. Being a great communicator should not be confused with being a great orator, although some leaders have been both. The ability to communicate is the ability to use various tools and skills to deliver a message to your followers and win their hearts and minds. Some practical tips for communication are as follows. Listen, listen, and listen. Communicate across platforms. Simplify your messages. Paint vivid images. Build on the credibility and show confidence, and master the art of storytelling. The executive office approach was simple and, in hindsight, as the author puts it, resembles how a private equity or a venture capital accelerator would approach any opportunity. Once an opportunity is identified, the leader should define full potential, not accepting an average target, and develop a clear and compelling version to describe and outline that potential. The next step would be to develop the blueprint, which is the tactical strategy that would allow this potential to be realized. For the system to work, it needed to reside outside of the system's traditional hierarchy, and it could not be managed by any of the people or organizations that it was attempting to influence, nor it should directly manage these people or the organizations. So this executive office was the Sheikh CEOs.